A lot of people make videos where they talk about the negative parts of the Western world and Western culture. They speak about the fact that the economies are not doing too well, they speak about corruption and all different sorts of issues. But I think there's something a lot deeper that we never really speak about. Something that is so detached from our modern world, we don't even see it as a problem anymore. And this is not just true for the UK. I'd actually make an argument that it may be more the case in the US and other places around the world, in the Western world. We see something which is not tied to money, something which people in the poorest parts of the world have, but we don't. Because we consider ourselves over here to be rich, right? And yeah, we do have the highest salaries in the world, some of the best living conditions in the world, that's undeniable. But when you see people from these poor countries, right, they've got nothing, they've got no money. In every single way, their life is worse than mine, it's worse than yours. They've got nothing. But they're still smiling. They're still happy, authentically, because they have something that we have lost, and that is, honestly, a sense of community. Now that might sound like a small thing, but it's honestly one of the biggest parts of any culture, or should be. And again, we've lost that now. People don't speak to each other as much. Like, if you're in the UK, and again, with the car culture, I imagine it's even worse in the US, where do you go about meeting other people, right? If you're young, and you're trying to meet people, where do you do it? Are you going to go to clubs where you just meet, to be fair, the worst of the worst? People don't trust each other. If you go up and talk to someone random on the street, it's like, who are you? Now again, in the part of the world, or the part of the country that I am, that's more common. People do still kind of talk to each other a bit, but even then, it's not uncommon to not know your neighbours, right? Most people don't know their neighbours by first name terms. They don't know anything about them. You can live across an apartment block from someone, never speak to them. Again, you can't really go out and speak to people in the street that much. Like I say, in my part of the country, that's still true a bit, but it's kind of decreasing. And I know people from London and whatever, the concept of just speaking to a stranger is alien to them. It sounds crazy even to me. But yeah, this is becoming increasingly common. And it obviously goes back to a few things, I'd say. But I think a big one is the way that we all do interact now. We live on the internet. Everything that we want, we can get on the internet. But this doesn't benefit everybody. If you want attention validation, you can get it on the internet. Like, let's be honest, guys. Look at how many comments I get on my videos. Look at how many views I get. If I was a different sort of person, I could make this my whole personality, right? And I wouldn't do that because I have a real life. And no matter how many views and subscribers I get, I'm still going to be me. But at the same time, that's not everybody. And some people, they live through the internet alone. And then we wonder why people are so divided politically and socially. Why there's so much hate towards other... Because this is the over-exaggerated version of the world that we now live in. The internet world. It now permeates into real life, because that's people's new understanding of what social is. And it's not the truth. Another huge thing about this is when we have no community anymore, we don't have as much strength. If we had a community, a group of people, friends or otherwise, family or otherwise, just neighbours, that we can put trust in, that we can all club together to support, we can work towards bigger things. You know, Margaret from down the street can have the kids on a Tuesday, and then you can go and do something else. Then maybe on a Wednesday you'll have them. It's a community. We don't help each other now to work to collective goals at all. I know that individualism is important, but it's gone to the absolute end stage now, where we're that focused on being individualistic. Anything to be together is almost negative, right? It almost doesn't work anymore. It's almost alien. Why would you be together? But it's gotten to a point now where this is this extreme. It really is like endgame isolation. We don't talk to people very much. We don't socialise. We don't have places where we can just go meet new people, right? Now again, this is still the case a little bit in some parts of the West, maybe the smaller villages, the towns, but not in a lot of places. There's not a lot of places for young people to go socialise, meet each other, without going massively out of the way. And that's because we live now, and this is just a fact, whatever caused it, I'm sure you guys will have a lot of different opinions, but we live in a low trust society. We live in a low trust society. If someone starts up a conversation, I've one, if I can speak, I have one example of this from the other month. This random guy started talking to me whilst I was eating my lunch, and we ended up getting lunch together, and it was calm. But even me, right, I had a bit of a hesitation, like, why would somebody randomly come talk to me? Why would this be? I tried, and it actually was interesting. We had a great chat for like 2 hours, but the point is, most people would not do that. That's so alien to them, it makes so little sense. That's where we go into. People don't trust each other anymore. We live in a very, very low trust society, for the most part. And that's worrying. Whether we should be trusting less, whether we shouldn't, whether it's just an illusion, that's a different question, that's a different point. But this is a big thing as well. If we lived in communities, think about all that we could achieve. We could, in theory, work less, because we club together. We could do more with our free time, rather than being bound by work exclusively. Because when you try and do everything by yourself, you know what? The truth of it is, it's pretty hard. And not only is it pretty hard, it's pretty lonely. If you don't have a social circle, and this is people now, not everybody, but an astonishing number of people, they don't have a social circle, full stop. I don't mean a community. They have not got one friend. This is people. Not everyone, probably still quite a small percentage, but this is people. Even if that's only 1% of the population, 10% of the population, that's worrying. Because everyone's out for themselves. And that's just the truth of it. Everyone's out to see what they can get. They don't care about each other anymore. It's all about chasing the money. And that's because our culture, our countries, all over this part of the world have been turned into a great big business. It's just about money. It's just about money. Nothing to do with what you can do to help others. And this is where we need to focus back on these poorer countries and continents. They've got less money, but if you've ever interacted with people from these countries or been to these places, you'll know. They trust in each other. They've got places where they can go out and meet new social connections. It's very easy for them to make new friends because, some random person says hi to somebody else, they've got trust. And even when they come to the UK, the way that the sort of culture's different, like, perhaps it's like a reverse culture shock without even leaving the country. But like when you go to, let's say, university or whatever, and there'll be an empty classroom, and one of the exchange students will just leave their very expensive laptop just sat there. Like, maybe I'm just paranoid, but I feel like I wouldn't do that. And that's just the world that we live in right now. Because we're that much focused on ourselves and this money-making mission that we're nothing but a unit for business. We've lost what we're meant to be. Humans are not like certain animals that live by themselves. Humans are tribe animals, pack animals. We live in groups, we live in large groups, we're meant to live in large groups. We're not meant to be alone. And the way that the world's going now, when we are increasingly on our own for a large period of time, this is where we're losing out. Say what you want about high salaries and good incomes and high living standards, but these often are empty lives, void of social connection, full of loneliness, isolation. People who have no friends, no relationships, and this is, or should be, concerning. And again, we talk so much about the money side of things, but arguably that's part of the problem. We're too focused on the money side of things. We're not focused on each other enough. We're not even focused on ourselves enough. I've spoken about this before too. We don't feed our souls in the way that we need to. We don't create. We don't make things. We don't do art. We don't do drawing. We don't feed our hobbies. We just make money. We just make money. And is it any wonder with that? Even if you make millions, that we're depressed. Because yeah, I am somebody who wants to make money. I want to make a lot of money. But, I'm not willing to give 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week to do so. Because the truth of it is this. Come to the end of your life and look at what you'll have. Think about it really, right? You can't take your money with you. You can pass it on, but even then, who are you going to pass it on to? Let's just assume that you have no social connection and you've gone just for money. You won't die with anybody around you. anybody caring. The money will just either get given to the government or the next of kin, whatever. What will you have had? Do you not want to be the person who people remember, who's done something for the world? When we're all done, and we're all gone, and it's all said and done, what you did, who you were, will mean more than any of this stuff that we chase. And that is the biggest problem, I think, with this society. The fact that we've lost that, and we're not in it for each other. We don't trust each other. We don't support each other. And we don't want to. We see it as a burden, not a help. Yet, if we all work together to utilise our unique resources, understandings, perspectives, skills, talents, we do a lot better as a society, as individuals, and in life in general. That's just my perspective. Let me know what you think on this in the comments.